Rising electric rates, different perspectives.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Welcome in. This is an original show for this Friday evening. So glad to have you aboard. You know, during the summertime, we take some time off, and sometimes you see a show that's aired previously. But for the most of this week, we've been giving you some original programming. And gosh, you know, we record our Friday programs on Thursday, and you should know that because we really can't react to some of the fluid issues in Spain, and of course Washington has been turbulent. But Friday nights give us a chance sometimes to kind of settle in on an issue and kind of expand on it. We've had some perspective most recently from the Lieutenant Governor on the proposed, the rising electric rates with National Grid. But there are all sorts of different sides to the argument and analysis and all of that. And so we're going to do that tonight, if that pleases the court. Let us take a look at some headlines here that drive the conversation. This was the news with National Grid asking for a 53% rate hike. And then, you know, local leaders, as they are, I don't know, inclined to do, say, well, that's not right, that's awful, it's terrible, because it feels politically expedient. Perhaps they don't do a lot of study on the issue. And then you get op-ed pieces from folks like at least one of my guests who say, wait a second, you got to think this thing through. So that is kind of the table setter, if you will, for this evening. I welcome my guests in. Doug Gablinske was a representative at the State House for what, 2 terms, Doug?
2 terms.
2 terms, and you're looking good. You used to look a lot more stressed when you were a rep.
I was a lot more stressed.
Okay, so we agree on that for sure, no doubt. And Dave, you're representing the Manufacturers
Rhode Island Manufacturers
Association, which encompasses how many folks?
1,600 manufacturers in the state of Rhode Island.
All the big boys.
We have the big boys as part of the advisory council for RIMA.
Right.
Yes.
So, you know, in addition to just talking about electric rates, it'd be interesting just your perspective on the economy and the like, and I'm sure you've got some thoughts on that as well, working with the Energy Council. So, you wrote an op-ed piece that was published in the Providence Journal that caught my attention, and we talked about it on the radio the other day. You say, listen, wait a second. Before we start jumping ugly here on National Grid, we got to think this thing through a little bit. Now, we're down a couple of hands tonight, so normally I would play for you some of the conversation that the Lieutenant Governor brought to the table. But more or less what he was saying is he thinks that National Grid could work harder on supplying the community a better shopped rate. And of course, he promotes this exchange, which has, you know, given some consumers and small businesses options for purchasing outside National Grid. Your reaction to that in executive summary form, then we'll kind of dig into some of the components of it.
Okay.
And bring Dave along.
So the electricity bill is complicated these days, but what this issue has to do with is really 2 things. National Grid is involved with transmission and distribution of power.
Right.
They no longer produce power at all. So they go out on the auction block, basically, RFP, and seek competitive bids, which they get. And then they give what they call a standard offer. That's what most people on the residential side and commercial side are paying. With, you know, Dave's members and mine, a lot of our members go to the wholesale market and they buy it directly, and this has all happened since the late 1990s. But for those who have to do the standard offer, they can also buy just like our members can, but it's a different kind of buying, and people just aren't used to it because they take the easier way out. Lieutenant Governor McKee has set up this website called Empower, and people are able to see what different prices are. So we encourage people to look at that and get their power from one source, and distribution they have to get from the grid.
National Grid has no quarrel with people shopping because they don't profit off the sale of electricity.
No, they don't care where you buy it.
That's something that people just don't understand. That
Right.
It is amazing how ill-informed the general public is on the components of their electric bill. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons RIMA had a energy workshop just recently, and we had 75 manufacturers in attendance and to educate, to tell them about alternative energy, to explain how these bills are calculated out, how ways to save, and what we thought about the new possible gas-fired plant with Invenergy, and how it relates to the manufacturers and the long-term cost.
Right. Well, there's a lot there, but in broad stroke, Are the manufacturers as, I don't want to use a tough word here, so let me try to be diplomatic, as naive as the general customer base, the residential customer base is to the components of an electric bill?
My old company, and they still do this, buys the electricity wholesale. Our electric bill at my company, Swissline, was $10,000 to $12,000 a month. We have a member in Westerly who spends $2 million a year. So these people all have contracts. My contract ran for like a 3-year period or 4 years. So you lock in the rates so you can control your cost factors and your bottom line. Most manufacturers do that today.
Are those the wholesalers that the manufacturing world is doing business with? Are they the same folks that show up on the Empower Rhode Island website for residential folks to buy into, or is there a unique marketplace of delivery out there wholesale-wise for the business world?
A little bit different, but some crossover of some companies serve both markets.
How many different shops are there out there for manufacturers to look at?
When we had the workshop, I would bet you we had at least a half a dozen that showed up just to display their booths and talk about their options to the Business Manufacturing Association. So there's quite a few really out there.
It's a whole industry that's been created, and there are, they call brokers, that are in between people.
Correct.
That will advise you, kind of just like a independent broker insurance agent. Well, they'll buy it from someplace else, but they'll give you advice on where you should buy and what your best deal is too. Same thing for energy now.
It's a world operating out there amongst those who know, unknown and unwitting to most people, you know, on the planet. Never mind. Yeah. Well, all right, so you need to know that. I mean, you know, McKee's message, I think, is a good one, and that is you got to get smart about your electric bill, and you don't need to just assume that that which National Grid is asking for is that which you have to pay on a residential basis. You were arguing, though, Doug, in your op-ed, that the grid is more or less helpless in this. I don't want to use a word that you didn't write, but the tone seemed to me that you felt like more or less they're riding the tide of the cycle, and that you're the best they can, and this is where it came up, and they haven't had prices rise very much in the last couple of years, but this is a whack that, you know, you got to just take on the chin because that's the way the chips fall. Is that true?
That's true. And the way the laws are, and decoupling and all that, is this goes to PUC for approval. It's not just happening because Grid says it's going to happen. PUC has to approve everything, the Public Utilities Commission. And this will go to them. I think the hearing is August 22nd. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that's going to pass exactly how it's submitted. The most they can do, and they've done this in the past, is instead of, this is like a 6-month rate right now, increase, and then they'll rebid out in the spring again. The most that's going to happen is the PUC will say, okay, let's take this increase that really amounts to about 20% for a residential user. It's 53% of the power portion, but if you had your overall bill, it's about a 20% increase. They'll take that 20%, instead of putting in 6 months, they'll spread it out over 12, so it's about a 10% increase per month for people.
Mm. But then again, if the 6-monther gets into a situation, the next 6-monther, you know, rises, phone's ringing. I told you we were casual here. I forgot to turn the thing off. The dun. We'll see if we can just turn that thing off.
Maybe it's Dan Key.
It could be, you know. If they continue to hit cycles of increases, though, you know, spreading it out is kind of like chasing your tail a little bit.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so maybe that is an alert to the residential customers out there that they've got to pay attention to their options buying out there. The manufacturers have to do same.
Yeah, because it changes constantly. It's a moving target. They have to really be attuned to what they're signing, and they're gambling that it's going to hold, and all of a sudden it could spike up, and you're going to save. But it also could go down a little bit.
Does the business community have, through you or the Energy Council, advisory to be able to, you know, for the business out there that doesn't have an entire division, department, or even manager assigned to be making these acute decisions, but you've got kind of a, you know, you got a good shop, but a guy that's kind of an owner operator, and he's sitting there every other day going, holy, what do I do?
Dan. The small guys in manufacturing, 80% of manufacturers in Rhode Island employ under 100 people, 50% employ under 25. These guys are out in the shops.
They're the salt of the economy, by the way.
Absolutely, the backbone of what's going on in the development of the economy for Rhode Island, as far as I'm concerned. and they don't have the time to really do it. That's why Reimer is in existence. We had this workshop, we educated a bunch of them, the word got out, and now we're a resource. So I encourage anybody who's watching the shows, I mean, and you have some concerns, call us.
Right.
We're here to help.
Yeah, look, hey, look, you know, my electric bill is X, you know, I wonder if it could be Y. How do I shop it? You guys offer that assistance.
We'll give them the assistance and get them there.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about the energy plan. Since Dave mentioned that, it is a point of contention, always is. We'll get their perspective on it. Stay with us. All right, welcome back in. We're talking about energy costs here, and while that might not seem like the most riveting conversation in the world, when it comes to your pocketbook, it can be. And again, on a residential basis, shop. Go to that website, Empower RI. Google it, because it's easier if you Google Empower RI, and it'll get you to the PUC's website that they set up for your ability to go shop for better electric rates, especially in times when you know that National Grid is looking to jack those rates only because of their negotiated news cycle. I didn't ask my guests who represent both the Energy Council and the Manufacturers Association here this question in the last segment, and I should. Do you agree with Lieutenant Governor that National Grid could do more homework and cycle out better, or that's his assertion, that they could do a better job?
No, I don't agree.
There's no empirical evidence or data to suggest that they could put pencil to paper better.
Not on that front. There are distribution, transmission, energy efficiency fund. There's a lot of things that they can impact and be more efficient at. This is not one of them.
You agree?
That's what I was told, yeah.
All right. You're the energy guy, you're the manufacturing guy, so you're kind of leaning on him for some of that expertise.
Well,
go back and forth.
in running a company, I found that if I don't know the answer, I got to find some people who do know the answers.
Sure.
And that's what we do with TechRI.
Do you think that the deregulation and everything that's been set up here, and again, you should know that National Grid is not making any profit off the electricity product itself. They make profit on the transmission and the access of the system, literally, the grid. Should we go back to a place where the grid actually does profit on the transfer of electricity? Would that cause them any more buying efficiency, being in the profit game there?
It's just not a business I think they want to be into. So remember, they're a private company. They are
regulated.
They're regulated, certainly, but they're a private company, and there's not many distribution companies that are in the power making business anymore. They're separate. Generation and distribution, two different things.
All right, so let's talk about the power making companies and the proposal in Burrillville right now. Does the Manufacturers Association have a position on
We have come out in favor of
energy? You're in favor.
We're actually trying to we're taking the lead pretty much on that. We're driving that one, yes.
Okay, and you support it.
We definitely support it. Early on, was at the first press conference. I've testified at just about every hearing, and we fully support it.
Make the argument for.
Rhode Island is number 4 in the country in residential rates, number 1 in the country in commercial, number 1 in the country in industrial. New England is higher in general than the rest of the country because the rest of the country is enjoying plentiful gas because of new technology. It just can't get here to Rhode Island because we're at the end of the pipeline, if you will. Oh, New England is. So this is a New England problem, not just a Rhode Island problem. What's happening is that 7 power plants are closing, have closed or will close. So they used to make about 1/3 of the energy that was generated. That's disappearing now because they can't compete with gas, which is taken over. Even though it's high priced here, it's taken over the market because it's still more competitive than coal. It's more competitive than oil. So like Brayton Point and Case, they just closed down completely. They made a lot of power over there. They're closed now completely, which is a good thing. We agree coal's not the way to go, oil's not the way to go. Dave's membership and mine support renewables, but renewables don't have the capacity for storage. So when the wind shines...
Renewables are defined as?
Please?
Renewables are defined as?
Solar, wind, those types of things, and emerging technology.
Right.
When the sun shines, they produce. When it doesn't, they don't. When the wind blows, they produce. When the wind doesn't, they don't. They're also very expensive, and they're subsidized. We subsidize those through credits that the taxpayer pays for. We need to get from point A to point B, where renewables, they can find a technology that will store what they produce at any given time and then release it when it's needed. And there's certain times of the day and year when it's most needed. That's what we have to get to. To get there, we need generating plants that are centralized. And that's what Brayton Point is, a centralized rather than renewables, which they call decentralized or distributed generation. We need a way to get from A to B, and we think the way to get there is through gas-generated central plants. We think the Invenergy plant is a perfect example of that, which will replace the Brayton Point, which will replace the Salem Harbor, and replace those. We need to do 4 or 5 of those.
What I don't understand from this conversation with Invenergy is where that power that they produce is actually going to be used. It's complicated. There's an assertion that it's going to be used at a marketplace anyway, out of New England, so where's the argument about it helping us?
We all have to do our part. This is a regional problem. This is not just a Rhode Island problem. We depend on each other because we're segregated into a market that ISO New England runs, Independent System Operator. We're all together in this. We have to solve it together. So we need a plant here, we need a plant in Connecticut, we need a plant in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. We need multiple plants to take over the plants that have shut down.
And so what's the motive for your organization to be in this argument?
Our concern is the shutting down of some of these plants and the amount of drawing power, electricity-wise, that our manufacturers take in. Manufacturer can't afford to have a blackout and not have the power available. And we really debated this on the board and our members, and everyone was concerned about the carbon. Because you're in manufacturing or you're a business owner, doesn't mean you don't care about the environment. We've got kids, we've got families, we all saying that same story. But in this particular case, no one stepped forward and told me we have an alternative solution other than what I've heard from Invenergy. If there was an alternative method, I'm all ears.
What's interesting, though, is that we've got this, we'll take a break here. We'll come back. The notion that we have public utility regulation, but private industry that generates electricity puts us in a rock and a hard place sometimes. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Was it?
Right. Welcome back in. We're talking about the energy costs and how to supply energy, and of course, anytime we talk about the Burrillville Invenergy power plant proposal, it becomes very controversial. We've done, I don't know, half a dozen shows between the radio and the television on this, and we're due for an update as well. Right now, Invenergy's immediate approval is for half of what their capacity could be. In other words, they're approved on the marketplace, or they have purchase agreements on the marketplace to provide half of what they could produce.
Right.
It is fascinating, though, isn't it, that we have a reliance on a commodity that we all need. You turn the lights off here, TV show goes off. Your TV show, your set goes off. I don't have to explain to you. It is always profound when the power goes off. Mm-hmm. And when we have a blackout, it reminds us of eerily of how much we depend on it. And of course, when you're running a large business, it's not just, hey, suck it up, take out some candles and enjoy the family time. It's downtime, profit, money you can't get back sometimes.
No, that's going.
Right. Yet, we rely on private industry to develop the power that we publicly regulate. Right. It's a weird thing. And so people say, oh, Invenergy wants to come in and they want to profit on our backyards. And, well, truth be told, they got to be in somebody's. Right?
Right. And this happened when, in the late 90s, where it all became decoupled and we went to a competitive marketplace rather than all regulated. Up until then, it had been all regulated. When that happened, the thought process was that the competition for supply, that power, would bring the price down, which it did for a long time. It did for a real long time, until this imbalance started because there's oversupply of gas now. And now that is forcing shutdowns of coal and nuclear even plants, which need to be replaced. And that's the answer to it. So it is a competitive marketplace, Dan. It's a competitive marketplace. It may seem strange, it may seem like a conundrum, And perhaps it is. It was before my time.
Got it. Yeah, you didn't develop this whole scheme. All right, so listen, the moral of the story here is you guys support that plant. You don't quarrel with National Grid. You're suggesting that the manufacturers, lean on the association to help them with sharp buying, and you suggest that the residents out there, do their own sharp buying and try to stay ahead of the curve. And that's the moral of the story for this conversation.
Moral of the story.
Tell me what the economy looks like on the manufacturing side and how you're reading the tea leaves.
In Rhode Island, it's on an upswing as far as I'm concerned. My old company just brought in 3 new pieces of equipment. Another board member is bringing in about $1.5 million more of equipment. Another guy invested almost $2 million over the last 2 years. We have another company in Providence who has put on a 15,000 square foot facility. He's now up to 100 employees. We have another board member who's going to be expanding his facility by another 10. I see nothing but positives for the manufacturing sector. And the biggest thing going on for our group is the support we're getting out of the state government, especially out of Commerce. They've been outstanding working with us, getting some legislation passed. The biggest one being a $3.65 million for Davies Vocational. And as I told the governor and Commerce Secretary prior, it's not even about just the students getting a better education at that facility. It's about a selling tool to market it with other businesses to come into the state, that they have a resource to get trained help.
Meaning we have a skills gap. You
Yes.
guys have function that you need to fill, and we don't have people skilled to
Absolutely.
do so. Well, I think every state's got to do that, and so, thumbs up with the Vermont administration on that. I don't like their overall economic stimulus plan. I don't like choosing winners and losers. I'd like to see some broad base. I mean, you're one of the old-fashioned Democrats when you were elected. That's my recall anyway. You're a pretty conservative economic thinker.
That's right.
I'm not sure that I'm going to get you to speak out on that with your new role, but hey, listen, the economy moving in the right direction is something that you can't debate. The data speaks for itself. Yeah. But I'm guessing that this is also part of a cycle and the ingenuity of manufacturers who have to do it on their own.
It's an advanced manufacturing today. It's not my father's type of manufacturing. It's far gone. I just had 3 students brought into my old facility, and they were in awe and some of the stuff that we're making and on the equipment we have and the tolerances to get hold. It's like when they talk about, I got a call about minimum wage. We don't hire people on minimum wage. Our jobs are got to be high end.
But do the minimum wage increases affect the economy of your operations?
Not for us.
No.
Most of the people in the manufacturing sector are hiring people in the $13, $15 range that have some basic knowledge, and we have a lot of programs in place through the various organizations to support that.
Well, look, it's good to be in touch with the manufacturing industry, so please come back on any other issue that you got. Doug, good to see you.
Good to see you,
You
Dan.
don't miss the legislature?
I miss some parts of it. Sometimes I get frustrated about policy issue and then I think better of it.
Well, like I said, you look better now than you did then, so when you get frustrated, come on in. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your work. Final word and we come back. Stay with us. All righty, coming up on the Monday program, we'll revisit a conversation we recently had with our Secretary of State, Nellie Gorbea, on the new technology in getting you folks all registered to vote. We always have a little philosophical debate on that as well. You have yourselves a great weekend. We'll be back with an original program on Tuesday. And don't forget the radio, weekdays 3 to 6 on WPRO. Thanks for tuning in. Good night.